Opening plenary, which we've called Interesting Times, based on the two speakers who are coming at the subject from different areas. The first speaker we're going to hear from is Xiaolin Zhang, who's the director of the National Science Library, the Chinese Academy of Sciences. His background in physics, but he graduated from Columbia University in the US in '92 with a Doctor of Library Science degree. So he's a professor of information management in Sichuan University before moving to the National Science Library in 2001. He's been very active in promoting open access, amongst other things, and co-hosted the Berlin 8 conference in Beijing and developed the CAS, the Chinese Academy of Sciences IR grid with 100 or so institutional repositories. Professionally, Dr. Zhang's a member of the governing board of IFLA and is now Vice President of the Chinese Society of Library Science and President of the Chinese Special Libraries Association. And Professor Zhang's going to talk to us about China going forward, research, scholarly communications and libraries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ross, and also I would like to take this opportunity to thank UKSG for inviting me and my colleague to come here in this beautiful city. And I've been in UK and Europe several times, and most of the time I was in the big cities. But this beautiful Harrogate and really changed my mind of the England or the UK and really enjoying this. And here I'm going to report some of the aspects of Chinese scholarly communication. And first, I would like to have a little bit about the research and development scene in China. And then we were going to the brief introduction of scholarly communication and library service. But I will go into the challenge between the needs of innovation and development and the services that we are providing from the library side, publishing and the library side. Okay, China, has been developing its research and development in a big pace in about 20 years. And we had double-digit increase of R&D investment. And you will see the figure in the upper right, and the double-digit investment increase in R&D. And so last year, the percentage of R&D investment in GDP comes to 1.98. The first time it says that it's surpassed the OECD country total. And there are forecasts about 2.2 in 2015 and 2.5 in 2020. And in terms of output, the research papers that have been increased this is actually the figure in the international journals. And we're not yet counting the domestic ones, but the increase is from 47,000 to 186,000 from 2003 to 2012. And the share of the world publication is from 5.6 to 13.9. And in some of the fields, China becomes the #1 country in terms of publication in international journals. For example, chemistry, engineering, material science, and also in the field of physics, it comes to #2 in a number of years. And China is famous for big numbers, but talking about the publication, we have to consider the quality of it. So the total citation has been gradually increased from 370,000 and to 3.1 million in the 5 year from 2008 to 2012. And also the citation per paper has gradually increased. Another figure to to reflect this change is that the citation ranks increase steadily in chemistry, engineering, material science, and physics. Well, partly because of the number of publications, but also partly because of the quality increase. So the highly cited papers increased from 4.1% in year 2003 to 14.8% in 2012. And also another aspect of the quality or impact is the international collaboration. The international co-authored papers increased from 11,000 in 2003 to 42,000 in 2012. So this is mainly from the publications in research journals. Another aspect of R&D development is the patent. You see the figure in the left side, it's the increase of the applications of patents and granted patents in the domestic market. And on the right side, this is a report from WIPO about the development in the world's patent applications. The upper right figure gives you the trend in terms of applications. So China becomes the #1 country in terms of number of patent applications, and the increase rate is unbelievably 28.5%. And for the number of granted patents, China lags behind in the position of #3. But again, the increase rate is impressive. Another indicator of R&D base is the human resources. Well, any number comes from China becomes big. But the trend is that you have on the left side, you have the full-time equivalent R&D personnel in millions, and you see the trend of increase in quite a high speed. And another input of those resources is from people coming from outside, from United States, from UK, from Germany, and from Australia. So there is a fast increase of returned overseas Chinese, and most of them would have a higher level of degrees, and most of them probably, well, I don't have the figure there, but from experiences, and most of them are coming back from the STM fields. So this gives you a general picture of developing the R&D base. And in line with the development of R&D, and there are big activities in terms of publishing. This is the latest figure about the national news and publishing statistics from the State Administration of Press and Publication. And in year 2012, there are 41,000 titles published. But of course, the newly published is only about, not 41,000, 414,000 titles published. And among them, there are 241,000 newly published ones. And on the right side, you get a general kind of distribution of the books published. We see a lot of in the literature and arts, and we also see a lot of them in industrial technology, and also in the medicine and the public health. But the basic science is a smaller part of the book publishing industry. And so this is, but the market is huge, about 1,036 billion Chinese yuan. In terms of journals, this is another general distribution of the journals. And here the thing is a little bit different. You see the STM journals accounts about 1/2 of all the journals published. And for these, there is another 1,300 in the humanities and the social sciences. And I will give you a little bit in detailed picture in terms of the journals published by Learned Society. There is the Chinese Association of Science and Technology, and it's a kind of umbrella organization of all the learned societies, but basically in the science and the technology fields. And they have, under the KAST, there are 1,056 STM journals, and 86 are in English, and 364 are in a kind of open access journals. But I have to say that some of them are in the kind of delayed open access mode. And among these 1,074 journals are included in SCI. And there are some of the scholarly communication platforms which can be subscribed to, and CNKI is one of them, and with big numbers in journals, newspapers, and thesis and statistics. And also OneFound Data is another one. And still, we have these CQ VIP journals. Those three are not exclusive of each other, which really give us a competitive market. And many journals, I would say most of them are covered in all those three. So we do have a choice. And then there is another one, which is called Longyuan Journal Net, which is basically about the popular cultural magazines and very popular in public libraries. And for books, and we have several, also again, several what we call the aggregators to provide the electronic books through subscriptions. And one of them is what we call the founder Apabi. And still another is probably Superstar, and also a Shushen network. There are big efforts in recent years to develop high-quality journals. One effort is by the Chinese Association of Science and Technology. Starting in 2006, they have their high-quality journal initiative, and they have been supporting different categories of the journals. The category A would be international leading class STM journals, and category B would be the domestic leading STM journals, and category C would be those in the domestic leading class. So they have been supported. There are 164 titles have been supported in this program. But starting from year 2012, they had another program with really a good money to back it up. It's called Upgrading International Impact Initiative. It's mainly for English language Chinese journals in science and technology. It's supported by the Ministries of Finance, Education, etc. And there are still the kind of three categories. And for the category A, you got a journal would get 2 million Chinese yuan a year for 3 consecutive years. 2 million Chinese yuan is not that much in terms of the pounds, but in terms of buying power, that's really a good money. So the purpose of this initiative is to increase the pool of domestic English STM journals, to increase their internationalization by helping them to hire international editors, etc., and to raise their international impact. And so in year 2012, there will be 35 journals supported, and last year, 76 additional journals have been supported. So there are already 111 titles. And the English language Chinese STM journals, the total number is about 150 or 60, something like that. So the large number of those English language journals are already kind of included. Another example of supporting or developing high quality journals comes from Chinese Academy of Sciences. The Chinese Academy of Sciences has itself 336 journals. Of course, some of them are not really research ones, so only 271 are research journals, 73 in English and 71 included in SCI. I have to say those numbers are kind of not mutually exclusive of the numbers coming from CAST. So our academy has been setting up a publication fund since 1990. So they have also, starting from 2003, have a specific fund to support journals. And this fund has been increased year by year. And then 2 years ago, they had this cluster development fund to develop platforms and systems which will have a group of journals presented and in the electronic platforms. And starting about 3 years ago, it also had a publishing talent fund to support specifically hired people from research communities or from some publishers to lead some of those leading journals. In terms of Chinese kind of practices, this money is also a kind of huge money for supporting just one person to work in some of those leading journals. And again, the Chinese Academy of Sciences participated in the KAST International Impact Upgrading Initiative. Well, in terms of library side, and I will give just some of the figures for different types of libraries. For public libraries, you will see the upper left corner, and we have a relatively slow increase of number of public libraries. Yes, since this is the beginning date of this statistic is 1995, so we would naturally will not see the huge increase of numbers of public libraries. But the good thing is that you will see the lower left side, it's the budget increase. So we will see a kind of much faster increase of the budget for those public libraries. And on the right side, we will see the increase in terms of collections and the increase in terms of circulations. And we will see those statistics are not increased as fast as the budget. This actually is a good sign, and that means that most of the monies, or at least half of the monies, are given to the staff to raise their salaries and raise the administrative expenses, etc. But still, we will see a better increase than the number of public libraries. In the field of public libraries, and I went through the Chinese Library Yearbook about the activities in public libraries. The major areas of activities in public libraries concentrate on, well, first is the support of libraries as fully free and closed-by service. Well, fully free means that people don't have to apply for pay for some kind of registration fee. And close-by, well, this word is not terribly good, which is an effort to establish library service in for example, 15 minutes kind of transportation for most of the population. So this means that they will setting up more branch libraries and more reading rooms in the neighborhoods, so people will have easier access. And this has a historical kind of reason that many of the libraries, especially smaller libraries, had to recover some of the expenses, some of the cost from their own operations. So they charge certain part of the services. But about 2 years ago, and by the support from the central government and the provincial governments, that those are kind of get rid of, those practices are not continued. And the government will have additional support for all those libraries to have a full recovery of their operational cost by public funding. And another part of the big activity is the promotion of reading, and then cultural and educational and community services. And again, the public libraries are very strong in terms of library consortium and resource sharing. And yes, and we are still very kind of active in terms of building up new libraries or extending library buildings. And mobile service also becomes a very active activity in some of the big public libraries. Academic libraries is another field, and we have this as an indication of the development of the academic libraries. And you see the figure on the right side, and the upper figure says that the average budget for electronic resources has been steadily increased, but the average yearly print budgets have been kind of decreased a little bit. Well, adding together, we still see the increase of the budget, but not as much as reflected alone in the electronic resources. So that means that for some of the libraries, they have to kind of transfer funds to support electronic resource acquisition. And the general trend is kind of leveling off in public library and in academic libraries. And also the difference between big and smaller libraries are tremendous. And the major areas of activities for academic libraries are digital resource development and services, and the promotion of subject librarian services, and beginning of the exploration of research data management services. And here, the construction of new library buildings is a kind of very hot, very big area. And it's not really 87 new libraries. Some of them are extensions, and some of them are kind of remodeling, but still, it's last 5 years, we see many new library buildings. And mobile services development becomes a hot activity in most of the public libraries. Then again, we have another type of libraries we call the special libraries, and those affiliated with national research organizations. You see the Chinese Academy of Sciences, of Social Sciences, of Agricultural Sciences, Medical Sciences, Nuclear Energy, and etc. And also the libraries associated with government agencies and associated with industry, with big enterprises and major hospitals. Here we see the difference of the major areas of activities. And here we begin first time to see the research information specialists, which differ from subject librarian in the fact that those research information specialists go much further from providing the training for how to use library services or resources. They go into about the information analysis, data management, and building up laboratory-based digital library projects, etc. And then we have the information analysis in R&D trends and evaluations. This becomes a very big, a major activity in those big research organizations' libraries. And also we have the, digital resource sharing and the promotion of open access. And I have to say that we do expect a more active role from public libraries and academic libraries in this aspect. And again, and some of the libraries here, special libraries, especially from the national academies, joined forces to develop long-term preservation for e-resources and the beginning of exploration in so-called research literacy, not just the information literacy, the retrieving of the documents, but also using the documents and the metadata and full text to do the trend analysis and also to learn about data management. And here a very quick example about the Chinese Academy of Sciences, which is a national research organization with more than 100 institutes in more than 32 cities and 55,000 researchers, more than that, and it's increasing every day. And also it has a graduate school with 50,000 graduate students. They don't really, CAS doesn't really have a undergraduate school. All those over 100,000 of researchers and graduate students are distributed in all those areas. So for us, the library service has to be e-first, network first, and has to be at the place where they are. So we kind of integrate resources from all the from the national and from academic libraries and from the public libraries, etc., and integrate them and push them to the sites where our researchers are. But at the same time, we are transferring ourselves from an information provider to knowledge service provider by developing embedded research information specialists and information analysis services. And our information specialists or subject librarians in the old terms that were assigned to each of those individual research institutes. And they are going there, they are developing a number of services, not just the training and information literacy, but also about information analysis and institutional or group information portals and institutional repositories. And for our institution information analysis services, we have teams in different fields and working together with decision-making bodies and to develop the kind of trend analysis, evaluation, and road mapping, etc. And in addition to those three types of major libraries, and we have major resource sharing systems. The first one is NSDL. It's managed by the Ministry of Science and Technology. It actually has, based on a cooperative acquisition of international STM journals and proceedings, and develop a centralized abstract retrieval systems, and also have integrated document delivery services to research and educational communities. And it also has developed the national licenses, and now it has a project to develop a digital preservation system of STM journals. Another one is CALIS, and actually this is the bigger one in terms of numbers. That's the Academic Libraries Consortium, and with 4 national centers, 7 regional centers, 15 provincial centers, and 500 plus member libraries. And it's basically runs a lot of different consortium for electronic resources acquisition and services. Also develop integrated search portals and yielding catalogs and interlibrary loan and document delivery, etc. Another one is one run by the Ministry of Culture called the National Digital Cultural Network, which has more than 3,000 individual service points in small towns and villages, etc. And it provides a lot of the books, the performance and movies, etc. And it's a project strongly supported by the central government to enhance the accessibility to literature and cultural resources from those the less developed, the smaller towns and counties. Another one is the Chinese Digital Library Project. It's run by the Ministry of Culture and organized, hosted by the National Library of China, and mainly to develop the digital resources and to provide those the network services to those resources to the whole country, but basically to the public libraries. Okay, and from what we have been discussing, we see that China is a big country in terms of population. Yes, 1.3 billion, more than that actually. And also it's another a big country for development needs, a big country for R&D activities, output and publishing. And at the same time, China is a country aiming to be an innovative country in 2020. And this innovative country needs to have a national innovation system which is enterprise-based, market-driven, and with a closed coupled innovation chain from basic research to applied research to market utilization. And also, last 2 years ago, they set up another kind of goal for innovative-driven economy, where the scientific innovation would be a key driver for growth and development. But we see this kind of challenge. Well, you have this big potential, but you also have the big needs from the huge number of people. We see the left side figure earlier. You have so many R&D personnel, and also we have so many potential R&D people. We have the university graduates in millions. Last year, it's over 7 million university graduates. And I have a figure down there in the lower right side, and only just for the graduate students, those graduating graduate students in 2012, and we have 291,000 graduate students. And so what we say, this is a huge pool of innovation, intelligence, and development. And from another side, we see also another potential for innovation. And you have those R&D institutes, but at provincial and local level, you have 3,200 institutes, research institutes. And we have also a lot of enterprises which are very active in terms of R&D. They have a huge number, and kind of 45,000, and they have the huge number of people doing R&D. They have a big investment, and also we have a large number of what we call high-tech industrial development zones, and many of the enterprises are operating in those zones and are doing a lot of kind of start-up development. And another potential is the population, internet population. Well, we have 670 million international internet users. And then for the mobile ones, we have 500 million. This is a statistic by the end of last year. Yeah. But at the same time, we have the great challenge of the limited access of advanced knowledge to most of those people. My library did a study of what is the kind of access to the major international databases. Yeah, for most of the special domain publications, only about 200 elite institutions have access to it. For most of the general STM databases, only about 200 to 600. Well, actually, the mean would be the 300, but the largest one has 600 institutes nationwide having access. And even for the Chinese STM resources, yes, we have the most major and the middle-sized universities and most national research institutes, but only a few very few middle and small research, development, and educational institutes have access even to the domestic ones, and few enterprises and not the general public have the access to those. So there is a huge innovation potential wasted. So China is a big country in terms of population and publishing, but not yet a big country in terms of knowledge and in terms of innovation. But there's another challenge to us. That we all know the digital reality, and now everything is, well, almost everything is digital, especially in R&D, and especially in STM. And we all know the open access reality. But when the knowledge is born digital and born open, and it's born different. So we say that the open and the digital information has to be go beyond the human reader-centric views to be a kind of, or to have the computational utilization of those knowledge. And this has been kind of elaborated by many sources here in UK, the Royal Society and the UK Open Data White Paper, all pushed and pointed to a new model of usage of those digital and open data. And also at the same time, we have this open innovation period, and that we can amplify the collective intelligence and utilize the latent micro expertise and to bridge the ingenuity gap, and so to help us to mobilize the resources and the potentials of the whole society and the open knowledge. So we have this kind of what we call the 3O convergence. We have open access, and we have the openly computable knowledge, and we have open innovation with a huge pool of people, internet population, and the knowledge, and the public, even the publishing. And we will see that this is something that China has to tap. But at the same time, we are basically offering what we call the document-based services. And the innovation capability of public still are restrained to the old model and still limited by limitation in access to those knowledges. And libraries' contribution are still confined within the old models. So we may face kind of opportunity lost, and this is a challenge to us. So here we have some of the responses from the research and the library communities. And you all know that there are some, I like this, is your library a grocery store or a kitchen? And we want the library to be a kitchen, we want the library to be an innovation laboratory, instead of just providing kind of some retrieval and reading, etc. So we are responding to some of those challenges by efforts in open access, in big data-based computational analysis, and in terms of supporting open innovation. In terms of promotion of open access, actually, Chinese scientific communities have been there earlier. By December 2003, the president of Chinese Academy of Sciences signed the Berlin Declaration. He was actually the first one from China. And 2004, Chinese Science Foundation, Natural Science Foundation of China signed the Berlin Declaration. And then we had this 8th Berlin Conference on Open Access. It was the first outside of Europe, first of the Berlin Conference series outside of Europe. And in that conference, CAS issued its open access strategy and to support open access in several aspects. And in the last year, CAS and NSFC endorsed the Global Research Council's Open Access Action Plan. And this year, next month, in May, the Global Research Council Summit 2014 will be held in Beijing. And there would be one of the two themes of that conference, that summit meeting would be to review the open access movement of the Global Research Council's membership. Well, this is an organization, but this organization, the members of this Global Research Council have, in putting together, have more than 95% of the world research investment and more than 98% of world research output. So we do expect the effect of this review. And in China, and a lot of open access journals have been set up and developed, and we yet don't have a very kind of solid number of how many in the total 5,000 STM journals. Those are the numbers from different sources. But you will see it's basically about 30% more of the higher, especially in the higher level of the STM journals. And we don't really have many in DOAJ. And part of the reasons is that the language and also the Chinese open access journals are not yet actively pursuing to be registered there. But we, on the right side, there is a platform and a system called Chinese Open Access Journals, which was developed by the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And there are there are many kinds of activities to support publishing in open access journals. As a matter of fact, all funders allow using research grants to pay the open access APC. And the government supported Chinese join the Scope 3 in the higher energy physics field. And also, Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences support Biomed Central membership. And so we will see an increasing number of OA papers by Chinese authors. And here I gave some of the numbers from PLOS and from BMC. And we have more numbers from BMC. We see the submission increase, and we see also the publication increase. And for Chinese Academy of Sciences, we started supporting this 4 years ago, so the number of publication kind of stabilized. But we see the number of downloads have been increased drastically. And in terms of IR institutional repository, and the one major one is the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And we developed almost for every institutional repository for almost every research institute. And so this is the number up to April 10, and we have 500,000, more than 500,000 deposit, and the full text is about 400,000, and the download is quite impressive. And also we noticed that the download from outside of the individual institutes and even from outside of the country constitutes a big number of downloads. So this really kind of reflects the distribution and the impact of this institutional repository. And those are some of the numbers. And we're developing additional services like the author profiling, like the knowledge map based on IR deposits, like the statistics. And also last year, we started first round of top 20 most downloaded papers, which was publicized in the Chinese Academy of Sciences website. And also you have the academic libraries catching up, and now 28 of them having operational. IR, and also we have IR in Taiwan and Hong Kong areas, and they are more advanced. And as the National Science Library, we are taking OA as an innovation and competition strategy, not just passively kind of responding to it, because we understand that with the time goes by, that would be a major resource that we have to work on, and we have to really have strategies and have operations and prepare ourselves for the age of open access. So we have the research center set up, and we have advocacy project and collaborating with many organizations, and also we are working with many organizations to develop strategies, guidelines, standards, etc. And also we are developing our integrated system of open access resources, since we don't have an acquisition process, which we are used to deal with open access resources. We have to develop new models and new procedures to discover and select and organize and promote those open access resources. And we already set up some teams and centers and within our departments to deal with this. Another aspect about the challenge is about the knowledge service. And we are asking ourselves what information service are needed. This is a great, that's the New York Public Library. It's a great library, but this was what we thought we were in the old times. But we look at the users we are serving, and different kind of users in different kind of situations. And we are serving lab scientists and graduate students, but again, and we are serving the primary investigators who want to be one step further of the research trend. And we are serving those decision-making people. And we're not just serving people doing the regular research. We are serving people doing the problem-driven research facing the grand challenge. And we are serving people doing strategic, interdisciplinary, and transnational research. Yeah. So we are thinking that those probably would be the services we have to provide to our researchers, and then have the library providing services from data to information to intelligence and to support solutions. Those are the familiar tools you have been using, and this is the scene we think we will be in, if not now, but in very soon, in the near future. And those are the systems we develop ourselves to tracking the R&D development, research structure, and mapping the knowledge, etc. And this is what we call the knowledge map in our library, with multiple screens and with remote access and with multiple systems, so we can have those analysis going on to support the decision-making, to support research planning and evaluation. Another aspect would be how to support the way the users innovate. So we think that we have to have customizable tools, actionable knowledge, and user communities to work together. And we all know the digging into data challenge, and we all know the British Library Labs and competition. And here is what we did last year, Open Innovation Challenge, and we invite all the graduate students of Chinese Academy of Sciences, that's 50,000 strong, to join us to use the data, open data from our library and open data we collected from the other resources. And those are the products they produced. And this year, we were doing it another way, and we will open up some of our key resources, especially our institutional repositories, and then let our research, the students to develop value-added services, to connect our resource from the institutional repository to some other resources. Well, one of my staff is saying that, is this actually they are doing our job? Well, right. And we have to use those 50,000 students who are sitting there doing nothing, playing computer in their lab, and so work with us. And so well, you guess who is most threatened. It's my information technology department. But those are some of the major aspects, areas, efforts, open access and data analysis and open innovation that we are taking to answer those challenges. But of course, we know it was the best of the times, it was the worst of times, the great opportunities, but we probably, some of us, were prisoners of our history of success well, Empire strikes back. I know members of Empires are sitting downstairs, down there. But well, this probably could be a healthy competition, but that's a challenge to us. So from here, we think that a library is a living organism, and we have to think out of the box. Well, this is a quick tour of where we are and what we are doing, and basically using many of the examples from my own organizations. But I do hope that the Chinese library community will stand up and facing up the challenge and develop themselves into a new kind of platforms and supporting mechanisms for the innovation-driven economy. Thank you very much.